Hello everyone and welcome to the 2019 Harkleroad-Adams quarterback rankings. I'm your host Drew Hare. To my right we have Matt Harkleroad and I have Chris Adams.
Hey guys.
Hello.
If you guys are new this year, we have done rankings in the past. Go check out our 2018 rankings to see how well our two analysts have done. But for 2019 guys, talk about your methodology. We're not talking about fantasy football quarterbacks, though obviously that can play a role. But how do you guys rank these quarterbacks 1 to 32?
Yes, we started our ranking years ago, and it was always just kind of a talk about which guy do I want 1 year. You give me 1 year right now, assuming he's healthy, assuming a similar team. It's hard to compare guys like if they had this wide receiver and this wide receiver, but you can say if you've got a stud, you got to take that into consideration. You know? And if those pieces move around, we try to take that out of the equation a little bit.
Gotcha.
We assume health, like you said, but also if a guy has a track record of being injury prone, we factor that in a little bit.
Right.
And again, we go with the whole one season right now, so that eliminates the whole question of, like, is it a guy you want to win one game or a guy you want to build a team around for the next 5 years? Neither, right? It's for one full season right now.
Right, gotcha. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Let's not waste any more time. We're going to go from top to bottom, starting with number 1, probably the GOAT, Tom Brady of the New England Patriots. Do you guys have anything to say? Why do you guys feel that he's still number 1 as of today?
Well, it's funny you said still number 1 because this is, I believe, Matt, the first time we've actually ranked Tom Brady as our number 1.
Right,
I know
yeah.
you guys are doing this.
Really? Yeah, the guy wins tons of Super Bowls, but at the same time, does he have the strongest arm? Does he, can he run? Can he do all the other little things that some quarterbacks, like maybe like a guy like Aaron Rodgers,
who I think was last year's number 1.
Not last year's number 1.
Yeah.
They have a whole package of things that they can do. Not that Tom got any better in those things this offseason. I think we've just, there comes a point when you just say, okay, there's so many X factors that this guy seems to have that it overweighs all those guys. And maybe guys like Aaron Rodgers took a tiny step back in 2018 from what they were at their peak performance level. So it makes it a little easier to say, the GOAT's the GOAT, and put him at the top of the list.
Yeah, and then also some of the young and up-and-coming guys who we'll get to later, Mahomes, Mayfield, Watson, there's definitely have really bright futures in this league, but weren't quite ready to elevate anyone from that class up to number 1 yet. So again, like Matt said, it just makes sense to put the best of all time there at number 1.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, let's move on to the next 4 or 5. So coming in at second is Drew Brees of the Saints.
The old guy's on top.
Yeah.
Speaking of old guys, number 3, he's still really good. Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. Number 4, Pat Mahomes, one of the young guns. You guys had him ranked a little bit lower last year. We didn't know what to expect from him.
One game footage.
I guess 1 season of MVP, 50+ touchdowns is a good way to bump up from 30 to number 4.
So if I can just jump in on Mahomes there for a second.
Sure.
I think if you look you see a lot of other QB rankings and like ESPN and some of the other ones, a lot of people are already ranking Mahomes as number 1. Again, we think he had a year for the ages last year, and he's got everything in front of him in the world. Again, on this channel, we try not to fall into recency bias, and we try to, again, we're looking at the whole picture and for a whole year. Mahomes debuted at like number 31 last year, so this is without a doubt the highest 1-year jump in the history of our rankings. But again, it's just not quite ready to move him past Rodgers or Brady or Brees yet.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm going to go out there and make kind of a little bold prediction here. I love Pat Mahomes, think he's a great quarterback. I think he may very well have a Hall of Fame career, but also at the same time may never have a season quite like he did a year ago.
I can see that.
Yeah, no one has.
Exactly,
So, the guy's out there doing things that nobody else can do. The one-arm left-hand passes and throwing the ball across his body while he's getting sacked. He's a physical freak, that arm strength. There's not a whole lot of guys that can, stop that. There's not a whole lot you can do to stop a guy that can throw that hard. But at the same point, we've got 1 year worth of footage.
Yes.
I think that's really it. Half of the season for sure, there's some game planning issues that don't catch up in the defensive side in the NFL for a little bit. Not to say that he's been figured out, because I don't think he has.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some tendencies are easier to recognize and use those against you once you have enough footage out there. And I think the NFL always finds a way to bring everybody back to the center, unless your name's Tom Brady.
And if you look at the game footage of Mahomes last year, again, amazing year, but he had a number of throws where it was like a millimeter away from being intercepted, or just like a really gutsy throw into triple coverage that he was able to make. Might not necessarily make those exact same throws this year, or the defenses might wise up a little bit.
The 3 guys in front of him also have rings. You can't, at the end of the day,
Yeah,
rings are
right.
rings.
Yeah, it's really true.
That is true. I mean, and Bree's he's the quintessential guy that does the same thing every year. We're talking about the guy who's like gonna break or has broken every career record.
Yeah.
Like there's not gonna be any that aren't his probably at the end of the day. If he already doesn't have, like he's got most of them right now. So so I think you just can't deny that. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers still.
Yeah.
He didn't stop being him.
Yeah.
He just getting older.
And we'll see what he does with the new offensive system going on this year.
Yeah, we had underrated Brady a bit. I think we had also maybe underrated Breeze a little bit over these years, and nice to finally give him his just rewards here.
Yeah, and speaking about that, going on with number 5, Phil Rivers of the Los Angeles
We
Chargers.
like the old guys here.
I mean, he feels like underappreciated, especially now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you think he might, they might be taking the league forward in the West, and then all of a sudden, this Mahomes guy comes out and throws 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, right, and he's right there. Threw a ton of touchdowns last year. Had I think he had a rating over 100, which is pretty solid. All these guys up on the top are the leaders in quarterback rating. Per pure how often are you making passes and not turning the ball over, those kinds of things. And these guys are right there. I mean, Breeze had that 75% completion rating last year. Like that's
ridiculous
insane.
In the NFL,
and
like age 40.
and Rivers is right there. He's that same kind of guy. Keeps doing the same thing he's been doing forever.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep moving on the list. Number 6, Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. Number 7, Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 8, Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. Number 9, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to come back to that in a second. And number 10, Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers. All right, defend the Cousins.
Okay, right. We're going to go straight to Cousins. I know I've been on the Cousins bandwagon for a long time, and I'm not going to get off of it anytime soon. We had him linked a little high last year, I think. I thought the move with better weapons into the Vikings organization was going to help him out. Didn't seem to, but then I really started looking at the numbers. And the numbers bear out that Cousins had a pretty solid year. It just wasn't the year that everybody was expecting for the highest guaranteed contract that anybody had ever seen. I mean, he was top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in yards, number 2 in completion percentage. So, I mean, it's not like this guy had a bad season by any stretch of the imagination. It just wasn't what people were hoping to get out of his giant contract and his move to having a bunch of better weapons. Hoping another year in a good system, he kind of puts that back together. But we did drop him quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we dropped him 6 positions or so in this ranking, which seems fair. At this point.
I think so too.
I'm gonna agree with Matt on all of that. Again, getting back to the rules of the game here, we are not rating people based on fantasy quarterbacks. We're not rating them based on who you want to build a team around for the next 10 years, and we're not rating based on performance relative to a guy's contract, right? Cousins would score pretty low on all of those right now. But as Matt said, he had a really nice year overall. Again, not maybe what people were expecting with the contract, and certainly overshadowed with the guys above him on the ranking, but a solid year. I would say maybe he's kind of trending in the wrong direction, so maybe next year we could be dropping him again, but as Matt said, he might improve this year, so I'm also comfortable with Kirk where he is.
Yeah, another guy on that list in this group that we mentioned, Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, the guy that we had a little higher last year, led the league in in yardage last year, which is kind of the quietest quarterback leader. I mean, especially when he's going out there, Mahomes going out there and getting 50 touchdowns. It's hard to even make a wave when you had 100 more yards than Mahomes did. But at the same time, he also led the league in interceptions. And the amount of throws he made. Those kind of things. It's just the offense they're running. They were running an offense with 2 elite wide receivers. And using them all day, every day. And then having some help with Connor out of the backfield. But for the most part, if you look at these guys in the 6 to 10 range, these are all good quarterbacks. Matt Ryan's a great quarterback. So being in this range isn't a knock by any stretch of the imagination. It's just there's some guys out there that are pretty good.
And every once in a while, a shiny red Corvette like Pat Mahomes just comes in, just blows everybody out of the water, and also kind of like has issues with like resetting expectations in the Cousins discussion as well. So
I will also say you're looking at in the kind of like the top 5, we have Mahomes and then all like the old guys. Kind of this next 6 through 10 is more of like the middle-aged guys, right? The guys who've been around for a while in their 30s, or late 20s, early 30s. But still playing at a really, really high level. Another guy that we did have ranked right in here, I think initially we had him at 5, was of course Andrew Luck.
Which would have been in the same area. Great
Exactly,
season last year.
same
Amazing
yeah.
season last year.
Totally. We all know Andrew Luck decided to hang them up, and we wish him well.
Absolutely. Well, and let's move on to the next little subset
Yeah.
of your quarterbacks, and this is going to be the young guns. So number 11, we have Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 12, Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans. Number 13, Jared Goff of the Los Angeles Rams. And number 14, Baker Mayfield of the Cleveland Browns. That is a group. You could tell me next year at this time when we do these videos, and we hope you'll be watching them too, that any one of those 4 could jump into the top 10, potentially even the top 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you look at, Carson Wentz almost was an MVP a couple of years ago. He just can't stay healthy,
Right.
and so if he can get those things figured out, there's no reason he's not in that list, and that's why he's at the top of this section.
You can say the same thing about Deshaun Watson too.
Yeah, right. Also, Deshaun Watson, somebody help him out. Get that guy off his back, please. 63 sacks last year. Like, if you're a quarterback in Texas, it is a bad time to be you. Between the two of them, they almost had 120 sacks between him and Dak. That's crazy. Protect your quarterbacks, guys.
And Laramie Tunsil, and then hopefully getting Kenny Stills, and obviously they're going to have Hopkins and Fuller, and who knows what's going to happen with Duke Johnson if he gets the ball loose. He's my pick for MVP this year.
Yeah, I think it's a solid choice. I mean, he's got all the weapons. If he can stay healthy and do those things, there's no reason not to. And then you go like a guy with weapons, Baker Mayfield might have more weapons than anybody right now. I mean, and
what a different story from last year at this time. I mean, he wasn't even starting until
week
4, week 5.
Yeah, so he wasn't in our rankings a year ago,
Right.
and Baker. I think we talked about Mahomes having the greatest jump in the history of our rankings. I think Baker comes in as the highest debut ranking.
I think so.
Because usually we rank rookies near the bottom on only if they're starting.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on it last year because he wasn't starting, but coming in at, was it 16, Drew?
14?
14, yeah, 14. And it just, with this whole group, with Goff and Watson and Wentz and Mayfield, and then obviously throw in Mahomes there as well. Like you said, that's the next generation, and it'll be really fascinating to see where these guys go. These guys go through.
And for order for these guys, it's kind
of names out of a hat.
Picking names, and you maybe put Wentz up there a little higher, and Goff deserves to be in that conversation, especially with the year he had.
Yeah.
But again, how much of that system, how much of that is having a plethora of good options to throw the ball to. So we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, you're right. These are all good quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think right here, like, I'm almost seeing like a breaking point of just like, especially when you guys talk about like that group that can jump into the top 10. You can tell me anybody from this 15 to the next 25, or heck, even through the rest of the 32, could jump into that top 15, or maybe just they're going to jumble around. Or else you could tell me that none of them did, and it wouldn't surprise me either.
Right.
So continuing on, so Matt Stafford from the Detroit Lions at 15. Number 16, Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Number 7, Mitchell Trubisky of the Chicago Bears. Number 18, Nick Foles of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 19, Marcus Mariota of the Tennessee Titans. And number 20, Joe Flacco of the Denver Broncos. Do you guys have any comments on any of those guys?
Just kind of looking at that, we talked about like the old guys, the middle-aged guys, the young guys for our first kind of 3 groups. This is just kind of a hodgepodge of people. You've got Trubisky coming into his 3rd year here. You've got Stafford, who's been around for a while. Foles, the story on him, Super Bowl MVP, but he's been a starter, he's been a backup, and Flacco, again, even been around for even longer. So this is really
we don't know what we're getting here.
Grab back here.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me, like you said, Trubisky to be up in this group higher. I mean, I think there's a lot of expectations for the Chicago Bears teams this year, and a lot of that's going to come down to Trubisky. Probably the weakest link if you break down their position groups and what they're good at. He might be the question mark or the weakest point of, and not saying he's still looks like he's a pretty solid quarterback, but I mean he has a lot of pressure on him this year, and so could he rise out of that and become one of the top 10 quarterbacks? Sure. Could he fall apart with all this pressure? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean both of those things I think are reasonable options.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a few words about Matt Stafford here, because he's always a tough guy to peg in this. I think Matt, over the years, he's moved up, he's moved down, he's kind of jumped all over the place. And you look at Stafford, my take on him, he's a guy who can do everything you want a quarterback to do. Big time arm, can make all the throws, good accuracy, quick release. Again, he is a good quarterback. But I think with him, it's kind of that intangible. It's that it factor that do you elevate the quality of the players around you? And he really hasn't been able to do that in his career.
Yeah.
He had his best years when he's thrown to Calvin Johnson. And granted, he has not had a really even good supporting cast over the years. But you know, the guys on the top of that list, Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, those guys all at times in their careers have played with pretty less than stellar receivers, and they've been able to elevate them, and Stafford hasn't been able to do that in Detroit.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more stat on this section.
Sure.
Does anybody realize that Marcus Mariota only threw 11 touchdowns last year? 11. That's at just as many.
He only missed a handful of games. It's not like he missed like half the season.
And that's just as many as Mahomes had a lead on the second place guy. That's crazy.
Stat of the day.
So just remember that. They played pretty solid, not a lot of turnovers, but they won a whole lot more than they're getting out of Mariota right now. And this is going to be a make or break season for them too.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with Ryan Tannehill, of all quarterbacks, just like breathing down his neck.
Yeah.
Just... All right, let's move on. Number 21, Sam Darnold of the New York Jets. Number 22, Jimmy Garoppolo of the 49ers. Number 23, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. 24, Derek Carr of the Oakland Raiders. 25, Andy Dalton of the Bengals. 26, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Anything to talk about for any of those guys?
I think
a few jumps, kind of like the group we just talked about.
If you take Andy Dalton out of this group, this is the question mark group, right? This is guys we just don't know yet. I mean, Garoppolo looked really great for a short period of time, got injured, moved, in that period, and then what are they going to do with him now? I don't know. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, which he looks like he could be great if they could figure out how to keep a guy healthy that they run as often as they do. Same thing with Josh Allen. Can he improve? I mean, a guy with like a 60 quarterback rating last year, like that's not really great. It's hard to. You've got to improve on that, even if you're going to reorient your offense to be a run first quarterback option.
And you got Sam Darnold, who had a not really nice rookie year last year. Kind of got overshadowed a little bit by Mayfield and Lamar Jackson, but had an overall pretty good year on a bad team. Now they've upgraded talent-wise, brought in Le'Veon Bell, brought some other weapons in, and Darnold's still super young, so what's he going to do in his sophomore year here? We don't know.
Yeah, and then Andy Dalton just kind of got sloppy.
Just because
I wish I had thought about these groupings before. I would have moved him to 26.
Yeah, I'm saying the same with Carr too. I think Carr maybe could be elevated by better talent around him, but at the same time, it's just like we know what those guys are.
Derek Carr was a guy who a couple years ago looked like as bright a star as anybody in the league, and just has been in a downhill trajectory the last couple of years.
Yeah, but then you take a look at a guy like Amari Cooper, who is getting the ball thrown to him by that guy, and then goes to a new place and becomes a completely different human being. Right. Is it just he was unhappy there, or is Derek Carr not as good as we think he might be? I don't know. It's a tough one. It's question mark group, and then Andy Dalton, which I think everyone's pretty clear on it. The slide that's probably
I'll be interested to see what Zach Taylor's offensive system does this year, but I think we have too much data to know to think that he might make some kind of late career leap.
We know what he is at this point.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Number 27, Eli Manning of the New York Giants. For now, he'll be ranked. We'll see if Daniel Jones takes over at any point.
I don't think it's going to be long.
28, Case Keenum of the Washington football team. Number 29, Jameis Winston of the Buccaneers. Number 30, Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Miami Dolphins. I thought it was going to be Josh Rosen, but
apparently not.
They want some Fitzmagic, I get it. 31, Jacoby Brissett of the Indianapolis Colts, and 32, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. We don't know what's going to happen with those last two guys. I mean, Murray could make a jump. Brissett could make a jump. We don't know.
Typically, we always rank rookies at the bottom, or guys we just don't have a lot of data on, because we're not trying to do projections here.
Sure.
We've said that. So Murray, number 32, could be great, could not be. We go check in a year. Brissett is another, we actually did see him as a starter a couple years ago when Luck was out, and wasn't really anything to write home about.
Prepared. He's well prepared to be a.
I think he's a very good backup quarterback.
Sure.
But
we'll see if he can take the jump, and when he has an offense that's kind of centered around him, as opposed to being a cog thrown in at the last minute, or a holding someone's spot for them warming it up. And then with Kyle. We never ranked quarterbacks high. If you're going to tell me which one of these guys I want to build a franchise around, Kyler Murray's on the top of one of the guys on the top of my list, just because there's so much raw talent there, but that's not the kind of ranking we'll get.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a lot of like the Case Keenum's going to be followed closely behind by Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
This could be the last time
Yeah.
for Jameis Winston to do anything in Tampa Bay. You just don't know. There's just too many guys on these heels.
Oh, while we're at it, can I put I'll put one rant in this whole system.
Absolutely, floor is yours.
Okay, if you just look at the numbers, ESPN, what are you doing with these QBR rankings? Jameis Winston was the 5th rated QBR quarterback last year. Can you believe that? Who watches football and says these numbers are even close? Like, if your system is so bad at ranking quarterbacks that Jameis Winston ends up in the top 5 for a whole season, like, maybe reevaluate what you're doing with that stat. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my rant for the day.
Yeah.
Since we're getting in, do you have a 30-second rant in you for anything?
Oh boy.
Or even just comments about the list in general?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of a couple of the people we didn't really talk about specifically. You talked about make or break for Mariota. I think Dak Prescott's another guy in that situation. Dak has had a nice career thus far. I think there's a fair amount of data that shows he's a stronger quarterback when Ezekiel Elliott's in the lineup. And then certainly when Amari Cooper came over next year, but I do think Dak has a lot of talent. So we'll see what's going to happen there because, the
money's calling,
yeah,
though, right?
Exactly. No, the Cowboys paid Zeke. They're paying some of their linemen. They're going to have to pay Cooper, and they're going to have to pay Dak, so they're going to have to make a decision on that. Is anyone else we didn't really...
No, I think we covered it for the most part. I mean, just, we didn't really talk about Jared Goff too much, but at the same point...
Actually, it's something on golf. I'm a big golf guy. I thought he had a great year a year ago. A lot is going to be Super Bowl hangover. What was that just... a young guy's first time in the Super Bowl going up against a Bill Belichick defense? Or did the Patriots really expose some things? And, how's Goff going to recover from that? Is he going to make the counter adjustments for this year?
Yeah, as long as there's 2 McCourties going against him.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
Very true. And then also, Todd Gurley. I mean, Todd Gurley covers up a lot of faults.
Yeah.
As long as that knee stays good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Any final comments?
Well, no, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this list. When we were putting this together, we didn't realize the players broke down into tiers like this, but it kind of is, kind of interesting to talk through about.
How many years have you guys been doing the quarterbacks list?
I don't know.
8? 7, 8,
yeah. 7 years, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. Look for our wide receivers, running backs, and NFL season predictions videos coming soon as well.
Yeah, as of recording this video, we're about 45 minutes away from the kickoff of the first game tonight with Bears and the Packers. So we're just getting these in just before the season kicks off.
Promise we didn't have any extra information because you don't see this video for a couple days.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, obviously, make sure you subscribe to the Harkleroad-Adams sports page on YouTube. What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, I'm at Matt Hark, MattHark.
I'm at the C. Adams.
And if you want to follow me, I'm at Mr. Andrew Hare on both Instagram and on Twitter. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Drew.
Take care.